Hey there folks, John here with Through My Lens, and today I'm coming to you with a gear review. Today we're going to be taking a look at this this is difficult to pronounce, Gudsen Moza Slypod Pro. I'll be calling it the Slypod Pro a lot because the rest of it is a bit of a mouthful. There's quite a few reviews on this product out there right now over the last roughly year. And a lot of them are basically paid promotional spots because Gudsen or Gunzen, whatever you pronounce it, sent these to a lot of folks to do reviews. I actually bought this with my own money, so I have no affiliation with the company. So let me start off by saying that I don't know a whole lot about the parent company, Gudsen, who manufactures the Slypod Pro. They're a Chinese company. That's really about as much as I do know. They do seem to be patterning themselves, and I'm saying that in the kindest way that I can, after DJI. They seem to offer several products that directly compete with DJI offerings. They might even be reverse engineered copies with a few unique twists or features. But the Slypod Pro is a unique offering on its own. Basically, this is a fairly unique alternative to a traditional mechanical slider or a motorized slider. Now, a motorized slider is a fairly unique and specific tool in photography and videography, and as such, they're really not cheap. Small, inexpensive ones go for less than $100, but plan on spending at least $300 for one that's of a good usable size, well made, and sophisticated enough to be, again, useful. They also take time to set up, and they have to be completely disassembled to move them, so they are not the easiest thing to use outside of a studio. Now, I do a lot of product-related videos, and I've always wanted a slider to create interesting B-roll footage. And up until recently, I've been using this newer motorized dolly here to get that kind of footage. You can see I've got a ball head mounted to it. I use this to sort of fake slider shots in my videos. If you set this up properly, it works fairly well in this regard, but it can be a challenge to get the adjustable feet aligned perfectly straight so that the dolly does run in a straight line. The dolly does tend to veer off in one direction or another, so it can be it can be enough to make a preacher cuss. The other problem with a motorized slider, a traditional one, is just how limited in function they are. They're fairly expensive, and you can really, only use them for very specific shots. So the value proposition of the Moza Slypod here, the Slypod Pro, is that it effectively replaced a motorized slider, and it does give you additional functionality. So if you can do that, then the $600 asking price for the unit really doesn't seem so bad. The only question is, does it do the job? Now, the Slypod Pro is the latest iteration of a product that has, I believe, a couple of prior versions. This seems to be the latest offering. And the Slypod Pro is about the length of a standard monopod. So it's not small. Let me point out that I have a Manfrotto adapter here so that I can use the Manfrotto quick release system. That's what I use throughout all my equipment. That just makes it a lot easier to use with my tripods and my my C-stand and so forth. It does not come with this. But you can see one end is basically a very adjustable head unit here. There's a couple of mounting points so that you can mount this onto one or even two tripods. The unit is primarily constructed of carbon fiber, which helps keep the weight down, of course. I think this maybe weighs 5 pounds, so it's pretty light. And seems pretty well constructed. And again, I feel it's reasonably light, not too difficult to transport. It has tremendous battery life and can be charged via USB 2.0. Gudsen says that they've designed the Slypod to work in conjunction with a gimbal product they sell called the Aircross 2. Now, working together, these two products are supposed to essentially give you a motorized jib or crane like device. However, many YouTubers have reported that there are software issues which prevent the two products integrating properly and prevent some of that advanced functionality that Gudsen promises from being a reality. So, for right now, I would just stick with the Slypod Pro on its own. I'm guessing that I could probably set up my DJI Ronin SC2 with the Slypod to get the same sort of functionality and effects that the company promises. Definitely something I want to experiment with. I think if you just program the speed and path in the Slypod, you would then be free to use the DJI app in conjunction with Raven Eye to control the movement of the Ronin, in theory. I'll have to do some more testing in that regard. Now, I do have a couple of gripes with the product that I do want to talk about. And my first one are the mounting points that I showed you a moment ago in terms of being able to mount this on a tripod head. Again, I'll kind of show you what that looks like. I really think that, they've got them on either end of the device. I think it would be better served to either have one or at least one additional mounting point right here in the center. If you try to use this with a single tripod, you're going to have some stability issues, particularly if you're using it outside and it's windy. You can use two tripods to stabilize this. The problem there is probably going to have two tripods of the identical make and model, because you're probably going to, in whatever shot, you're going to want this completely level, completely straight, and getting two different tripods exactly the same height is probably going to be a bear. So it'll probably be a lot easier to do if you have two tripods of the same make and model. And that's not the easiest thing to do, bringing this and two tripods to a shoot. That's a bit much. But again, stability looks like it would be much improved using a second tripod, and I'm going to have to order another identical one to the one that I have. Now, when I used this in an outdoor shoot, I did have to keep one hand on the back of the Slypod Pro at all times to ensure that it did not tip over, particularly once the head here extends out. Let me just kind of show or demonstrate how it's supposed to work. The power button is on this end. You hold it down for about 3 seconds and you should see the ring light there come on and glow green when it's on. There's a plus and minus button here. You probably won't operate it from the unit very often, but for demonstration purposes I can here. Basically, the unit then just extends out, telescopes out in a pretty good distance, and can be retracted along the same linear path. So pretty neat functionality. You can see it's not quiet. If you run it at lower speeds, it can be quiet or more quiet. But I think in most cases, again, you'll be using this with B-roll You'll be having either, dubbed dialogue or music. So you probably won't use the audio. It's the video footage that you get from it that will be most important. So I'm not too concerned about the noise. Now, the other issue that I had with it is that I would really prefer a remote with hard buttons as opposed to using an app to control it. Gudsen does make a remote control that they sell for another $120 on their website. Now, the free Moza Master app, it's okay, but the buttons that actuate the head in and out are pretty small. It's very easy to have your thumb kind of slide off a little bit one way or the other on one of the buttons, and subsequently the Slypod Pro will stop, and then you'll have to subsequently start the entire shot over again. It never failed. At least one time, every time I set it up, I would start a shot wanting to extend out the Slypod, along the entire travel path, and I would get somewhere short of the end and would realize my thumb had kind of wandered off the button and have to start the whole thing over. So that's frustrating. That would be much easier to do with an actual remote control with hard buttons. Now, when I did use this on the outdoor shoot that I did recently, I described that earlier, I really wasn't sure if the footage that I got was going to be usable because, again, I was using a single tripod to mount the device, and it did seem to be wobbling quite a bit when I would use it. I'll go ahead and roll in some of that footage from that video that you can find here on the Through My Lens YouTube channel. It's a car review that I did of a vehicle I recently bought. But again, that footage that I got, which went into that other video, will show what the product can do. Now, my solution to the instability and the wind-related wobble that I was seeing was to run the Slypod at its fastest speed, then slow down my 4K 60 frame per second footage by 50% in post. I then ran stability control in Final Cut Pro, and the footage looked shockingly good. I was really pleased with it. Once I have some more experience with the product, I'm hoping I can make my footage look even better. So if you're wondering, if I recommend it, I would say, yeah, I probably would recommend it if you're thinking of, you have a need for a slider. This will do more than a slider can do. Again, you can mount this, vertically, horizontally, diagonally. It comes with a kind of a bottom piece that gives you some tripod legs to mount this with. I'm not crazy about that. I don't think it provides enough stability. I would probably use another tripod. If I wanted to go really low with it, I would splay the tripod legs out, flatten it out to give it even more stability. But I wasn't crazy about that. It also comes with a nice little carry bag and a charging cable. So yeah, I do recommend it. I think you can get some really interesting footage. I'm interested in, continuing to try to use it to get some, more interesting cinematic footage to my videos. I think from that regard, the device is going to be very helpful. If you think you are interested in purchasing the Slypod, please do use the affiliate link in the description box of this video, as that would surely help me out. So there you have it. There's kind of a quick review, my quick thoughts on the Moza Slypod Pro. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Take care. God bless. We'll see you in the next video. I hope you've enjoyed this production from the Through My Lens YouTube channel. If you did, please click on the like button and do share the video on social media. If you'd like to see more content like it, please do subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and do check out Through My Lens at www.throughmylens.org.